Hey you guys, I have not talked to you guys since yesterday because I'm doing a lot better with recording every day. I have a bunch of videos that I really want to record, and so that has gotten in the way. Well, not really gotten in the way. School has gotten in the way, me recording, but school is #1 priority. So I had to like take a break for a while. But anyways, so this video is gonna be like 2 separate videos, kind of like hodgepodge together. The first part is going to be how I study for finals, and sort of like how I come up with my study plan, how I actually study, all that good stuff. And then the second half is going to be a book haul of the books I used this semester. Honestly, I didn't pick these books. My professors picked these books, but they're more or less good. I mean, I don't know. I don't know. I don't really have an opinion on the books, but yeah. So let's get right into this. Okay, so one of the first ways I study is I use flashcards. And so these are from my first assessment midterm. And so how that midterm worked is he gave us the questions and then he was gonna pick 3. Or maybe did he pick 2? No, I feel like he picked 2. He picked 2 of 8. And so he gave us the questions about a week in advance, and basically we had time to prepare. And so for that class, because it's like essay style, it's kind of harder to prepare, at least in my opinion. So what I did was I made flashcards and I was like, okay, these are the things that I really want to touch on when I talk about this in like this essay form in class. And so what I did was, so we can talk about like intellectual disabilities. So one of the questions was about like intellectual disabilities, and so I broke down the question into its parts. So like the first part was talking about severity, and so I wrote all that out, and that's all on one index card. The second part was like, what are the criteria for intellectual disabilities? And so then I wrote all that out on the back, and then I literally just go through and like flashcard myself. I don't know, like use the flashcards to help me. And so then this last one for this was all one question. So these 3 were one question. And so it was like intellectual disabilities etiology. And so I wrote on the back family origins. And then the only way you get the card right is if you hit all the points. And so if you didn't get it right, you had to start over. And so what I was going to say was, there were some questions that were bigger. So like this question had 7 parts. And so each of the 7 parts I broke down and wrote into its own index card. You can see that here, if it ever focuses. And then that's like 1. There was one where it was like 6 facts about intelligence. Anyway, so I mean, we're not gonna go through that midterm, but that's how I study for that. Some of my other, well, in grad school, you don't really have that many tests. A lot of our finals and midterms were papers, and so for that, this is what I did in theory, not in practice. So what I like to do is once I get the questions, I'll outline everything I think that I want to put in there, and then I'll go back and write. But for the midterm, I didn't do that. But for the final, I'm going to do that, especially for psychopathology. And then for research methods, we had an actual final in class, which is kind of contradictory to what I just said. But that class, we got an index card of like this size. A 4x6 index card where we can fill in the information front and back. And then she would email us the test. And it was kind of like an essay, but kind of not. She would email us a test, and then we would just like write short answer for that. And then for psychopathology, we're doing a paper. She gives us the questions, and then we just write to the questions and then submit it. So those are basically how I study for finals. I also, back when I used to take like real like test finals, I like to rewrite my notes. And so I will handwrite notes in class most of the time, and then I'll go back and type them as a way of studying. Or if I have typed them, I like to go through and handwrite them. It just is a good way for me to like get the information in my head, reread the information and all that good stuff. I don't really do a lot of rereading. of like textbooks and articles unless I have to, honestly, just because there's so much reading that has to be done, and I often feel like I don't get a lot of the information via reading, so I just don't do that. Okay, and so now I'm gonna show you how I plan out my study time, and so give me 1 second. Okay. Ooh, excuse me. Okay, so the way I do my study schedule is for finals this year we have Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Monday, Tuesday. So 5 days of finals. And so what I do is, it's gonna look like a convoluted mess, but this is like the first step. So the first step is I make like a massive to-do list of every little piece of each final. So if you can see up here, I cross them out because it's, anyways, so like I have stats, there's 2 sections of stats, I had an intake thing to do, research methods paper, I wrote out all the different little like sections, and then what else is on here? My fellowship stuff, and then my flashcards. So all that has to get done, and so only thing that's not on here is psychopathology, but it's at the bottom. So once I do like a massive brain dump of everything that needs to be done, I then go through and make like a day-by-day list of what I need to do. So, hang on. Okay, so this is my day-by-day list. So Monday I wanted to get all this stuff done. Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and then Sundays over here, and then Monday I have other stuff to do. So then I just write out and I put each like task on a day, and then I look at it, see if it's feasible. If it's not feasible, I'll start to rearrange it, and then once all that is done, I transfer it to my bullet journal. So like these are the finals that are done. So I wrote down important dates to just remember when stuff is due. And then I'm trying to find where we started. Okay, so I haven't been marking stuff off, but I have been doing stuff, so this is gonna look like I haven't done jack diddly. But so then I don't write on the backs of paper. I don't know why, it's just a thing. So then I go through and write down every single day of what I'm gonna do. So all the way, mine goes all the way till next Monday. So I literally, Friday, these are the 3 things I must get done. These are like must do things, and that's kind of how I do it. If for assessment, since we have like the in-class written final, I think I wrote out on Sunday, I'm just gonna spend all day studying for assessment. And so that's generally enough time for me to memorize. Well, I don't want to say memorize, but generally enough time for me to learn the questions well enough. And then for his class, what I did last time for the midterm is I like cut up the questions, and then like I shuffle them, and then I wrote out the essays. Basically, like I would pick one, like he randomly selects the question. So then I'd randomly select a question, write it out all the way of what I wanted to say. So like the first half of the day will be like me learning the flashcards, relearning all the material for the final. And then the second half of the day is me like quizzing myself. So yeah, so that's basically how I study for finals. Hopefully this makes sense. If it doesn't make sense, please ask questions, because it's kind of hard for me to explain how I do it, especially like because my system doesn't work for everybody. So this is how I do it. And yeah, so if that's helpful to you, let me know in the comments, and we are going to do the book haul now.